Well, this is an opportunity for all of you to meet your legislator. It's the kind of thing that should be fun. It shouldn't be intimidating. It's the time where you can go and meet with your legislator and tell him or her your story. This is a really important event for the association, and it should be important for you because the people at the Capitol truly want to know what you have to say about your industry because they're so busy with so many other things that they can only focus on a few things at a time. And when you come and show them that you're interested enough to be at the Capitol, you convince them that your issues should be taken seriously and considered this legislative session. All you're trying to do is have a simple conversation with your senator or representative. You're down there to talk to him or her about your issues. This is not heavy-duty lobbying. This is not trying to do pressure efforts on people. It's simply to have a conversation in which you exchange information with him or her and let him know why these issues are important to you. When you're talking to your legislator, it's typical and appropriate to address them as Senator X or Representative Y. If you know them very well and you know them personally, you can call them Jim or Sally or whatever their first name is. For me anyway, even though I know these people very well, to call them senator or representative, I think they feel like that's a term of respect and it's something that, especially when you're in their offices, is appropriate. The representative or senator may say to you, oh, no, call me Jim or call me Sally, in which case feel free to do that. But typically it's a good idea to use the official title. Remember that you have a special relationship with the legislator that you're meeting. You are a constituent. You are the people who elected that particular person. So they're very attentive to what you have to say because they have to come back every 2 years or 4 years and ask you for their vote again. So use that effectively on your behalf so that when you're visiting, the legislator knows that you are from that particular district and you have the opportunity to now visit with him or her to tell them about your concerns. So when you first meet with your legislator, obviously introduce yourself, mention that you're from the district. That'll get their attention right away. And then have, as I said, a conversation in which there's an introduction, introduce your team, of course, and then have kind of small talk about what's happening during the legislature, how early the spring might be this year, or how much snow we've got on the ground, so that everybody gets comfortable, and then work into the issues that you're there to talk about. The small talk breaks the ice, and I think just like any other conversation with someone you don't know very well, it relaxes everybody and makes them feel comfortable. Since you're the leader of the team, it's easy for you to act as the host for the group. That simply means introducing the rest of your team, making sure that you have the conversation flowing, express the positions that you've got to make sure you introduce the members of your team who know the issue the best to be a principal spokesman, and then look for feedback from the legislator to see whether he or she agrees with you. And if he or she doesn't, it's important not to challenge them or intimidate them or try and make too much of a case at this juncture. This is an opportunity to introduce these issues, let the legislator know what we think about them, get that feedback, and then at a later time we will decide how to best determine how to influence their vote, not with a rat-a-tat-tat, so to speak, at this particular session. Number one, you're not professional lobbyists. Number two, you don't have a massive infrastructure of people who are going to go out in campaigns and defeat someone. So saying to someone, unless you're with us, we're going to go to the polls next year and run you out of office, as some groups might do, is not effective and not the way we like to operate at the Capitol, and we shouldn't be involved in that. So after you finish the visit, make sure you thank the legislator. I don't need to tell you that, obviously you know that. That's a courteous thing to do under any circumstance. And try to get whatever feedback you can from the legislator. Provide that back to our association representatives so that either during the day they can collate this information or at the end of the day, so that we have a body of information that's a gathering of intelligence as to who might stand where on what issue. And then follow up with your legislator after that, because these folks really do want to know what you think and do appreciate a thank you note or a comment later on that you're watching what they do so that they know they need to be responsible. Since they represent you and since they work for you, it's important for them to know that you're watching what they do. It's really easy to keep track of all of this, either through myself we can provide you with lots of information. Plus, you can figure out a lot of this on your own by simply logging into the websites for the House and the Senate to keep track of how bills proceed and what your legislator does or says, or how he or she votes on bills. And I recommend you do that. The other thing that I think as you leave that's important is that you let a legislator know that you're the expert in this field. You're here to talk about a particular issue. You really know this well. This is your business. Please offer to him or her the ability to get back in touch with you so that you become a resource to him or her on the issues. There are many, many issues that we're concerned about, many of which hardly anybody knows about in the depth that you know them. And as a result, please give that legislator the opportunity to look to you to be an expert, to find out how to think about this issue, because there are lots of folks out there who want legislators to think very differently about these issues. And as long as he or she looks to you as a resource, we have the ability to constantly shape how they think about it from the perspective of our association, which is the way they ought to be thinking about it. As you're in the meeting with a legislator, one of your members should be designated as someone to take notes and keep track of the conversation. These don't need to be like minutes of a meeting, just some high points so that you can report back to the team on how the meeting went, what the questions might have been, how the interaction went, whether the body language seemed positive or negative, so that we have a little feedback as to what's going on and can use that effectively going forward. Each member of your team is going to have different strengths and weaknesses. The lead is going to be someone, hopefully, who's from the district that legislator represents, so there's going to be an instant connection between that person. But other members of your team may be more informed on the issue that you're concerned about at that particular meeting or that's on our agenda to talk about this year. Defer to that particular person, introduce that person so that the legislator hears directly from our member who is most knowledgeable about a particular issue. That way we can use that resource in a way that's most effective with our legislators. In any sales opportunity, and in a sense this is a bit of a sales opportunity, ask for whether the legislator agrees with you or doesn't agree with you. Ask for the sale. Many times a legislator will say, I really don't know very much about this, and will take your feedback and say, I'll have to think about this, thank you for coming and visiting. Sometimes you'll find someone who says, thank you for coming, but I completely disagree with you about this. Obviously, that's something that's important to note so that we now have a catalog at the association of who feels strongly about something negatively or positively. You may also find someone who says, absolutely agree with you, I couldn't agree more. The way you guys think about this is the way I think about that. We certainly want to make sure we get that feedback as well. Body language may be another way people are giving you impressions, all of which needs to be accumulated and reported back so that we can use that effectively as we approach that legislator later. Team have prepared a packet of materials for you to take with you on each one of these visits. Make sure you leave the packet behind, because many of these legislators will review the materials you left with them, especially as issues arise and votes and hearings are taken on those. So make sure you leave the packet of material, give them a set of resources that they can look at. Often they will review that later, and it also has contact information so that if they do seek further information on an issue, they can either get in touch with you or members of your team, or Cassie or her team or myself, so that they are fully versed on what we're talking about. Please don't be nervous. This is like sitting down for a cup of coffee in the neighborhood with someone who's very interested in knowing what you have to say. There's no reason to be nervous. It's just a conversation you're having with someone from back home. Remember that you're here representing MNLA and our industry. That's the only reason for the visit, no matter what your relationship is with a particular representative or senator, and no matter what positions they've taken on other issues that may be important to you. So please stick to the knitting, so to speak here. Only talk about the issues MNLA is concerned about, and keep your own personal opinions to yourself. Don't mix these things together because it's inappropriate and unprofessional. It's important for you to know where to go and how to deal with these folks. The team here at MNLA will give you all the information about where the meetings are, where to park, which buildings to be in. All of the things will be laid out for you. So don't have any anxiety about where to be and how to get there. You'll have room numbers and directions you'll understand how to get around once we get down to the Capitol. This is a professional call by you as the representative of MNLA. Be professional, and yet at the same time be conversational and informal. This is not like going to Washington, where our senators and representatives are protected by phalanxes of people in very formal settings. You literally walk into these folks' offices, you sit down and you have a conversation. So be informal, be relaxed, don't be nervous, but be professional. And I think that's the most important thing for you to know. This should be an opportunity for you to have fun. Go down to the Capitol, see your legislator, but really relax and have a good time, because this shouldn't be an intimidating experience. Really do have fun. And the last thing I want to leave you with is my favorite quote in politics from a gentleman named Everett Dirksen, who was a United States Senator from Illinois many years ago in the 50s. And he once said, "The best lobbyist I ever met is someone from back home armed with the facts." And that's you.